inside, so strong. I know that
I remember saying to this guy, I won't go for it, and he said, you can't. I goes, why is that? He goes, because you're black.
Yeah. I wish I'd just paid for my dad to have an autobiography done. So like, you could always go back to that book and just look at his whole life.
I suppose so, having a wife who's 18 years younger than you. So
oh, maybe that, she keeps you It could maybe see up to there, but still. But anyway, but yeah, it's like, what's your motivation?
Here I am, folks, with the one and only Stokie, the British Middleweight Champion, Nathan Heaney. God almighty, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you, Melvyn. You're top man.
You're the top man. You know, I saw your last fight. Well, I saw the one before that. Yeah. When my wife comes in and she's screaming and the voices. It's so passionate watching you, what you're doing for the city, and to be the British Middleweight Champion. God, that means the world to all the Stokies.
Yeah, it's like I say, you were there when we boxed Denzel Bentley for obviously the British title, was big underdog and stuff, but I always believed in myself and I knew I could win it, and then obviously I did. I won it, become the first British Middleweight Champion from Stoke. But obviously then you were there again about 2 weeks ago when I defended against Bad Bulls, and I'm still the British Champion, which is good. So but yeah, you've been a part of a big part of it.
Mate, it's amazing, and look at that belt. You've got to be so proud. Yeah. Everybody's so proud just even to touch it, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's going back to the British board tomorrow, so I'm making the most of it and showing it today. But yeah, it's been great. It's been my own for like the last 4 months, 5 months. It's something I'm very proud of. But now we want to keep progressing now and going to the next stage and see what we can do next.
And what is the next stage, or can't you say?
Well, in terms of obviously the ultimate dream in the end is to obviously fight at Stoke City and fight at my football club. That's the ultimate dream. But I also now, I've always said, if you become a British champion, you never know what you can do after that. Now, you never know what you can do after that, i.e. world titles and stuff. But that's something if I could get the opportunity. Like I say, I've become the first middleweight to win it, the British title. Chris Edwards won it in 2011 outright, which is phenomenal. And then Tommy Harrison in 1924. So there's only been 3 people that have won it, but no one's ever fought for a world title from Stoke. So I want to be if I could become the first ever person to do that, and who knows, if you could win it, that'd be the ultimate thing.
There's no ifs about it.
No,
you were going to do it. You were going to do it.
I'll try my best.
It's going to be brilliant, and this bout you'll have. There's going to be a world title bout there as well. But it's just magnificent. It's so inspiring to not just for Stokers, but everyone. Because you're just a normal bloke. You've just come from not a normal background. And you've kept your humility.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
That's my best.
It's like the ethos of the SAS. It's like classlessness, humility, integrity, pursuit of excellence, and a sense of humour. Yeah. I see that
it's the same with yourself, obviously, with what you've done in your career, in your life, and obviously, but you still represent the city as best as you can. Always spreading the positivity to it, and just showing what our city obviously can do as well, and a bit of it like inspiration for yourself as well, in terms of like from someone from Stoke-on-Trent in the SAS. So I mean, obviously I'm from Stoke and I've become a British champion. 2 totally different things, but so still battlers regardless.
Yeah. Well, I don't see it like that, but to me, anybody who gets in that ring, I did it just as a novice soldier, and it's nothing I thought so nerve-wracking. I know going on operations and all that stuff's nerve-wracking, but when there's one-on-one, you're going in there and you know you've got 1,000 people who know you. You don't want them let them down. And you've got that unit, they've got 1,000 people, so if you're fighting, say, the Scottish unit, they come in on the bagpipes, you're fighting your unit, and they'll know you. And there's only 3 2-minute rounds as well. I used to think I was fit there, but how you go for them, and keep up that pace you do.
It's very strange how your mindset changes. So obviously, as a former amateur, I had 90 fights as an amateur, so I had quite a lot of fights over 16 years, and you do 3 3-minute rounds. And then also when you went to the pros, you're like, I'm going to do 4 rounds on it. You think that's a lot. Then you fast forward 6 years and you're doing 12 rounds on your head. You can do it like no problem. But it's how you adapt throughout the years and all the training that you've put in throughout that time. You don't just happen. It's all the hard work.
It's all mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a true believer. It is mindset.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, what does it mean to you having that crowd your followers come to see you, like the Stokie crowd. It must be like 12 man sometimes. You must be able to hear that in the ring.
That's what pushed you through everything. I mean, in my last fight set, it was a bit of I had a ropey moment in round 8 and round 11 where he caught me good and I was hurt, but I just knew I couldn't go down, so I was moving. But then all of a sudden, where you think people would go silent in terms of fear, what's going on, all you could hear was the support. Heaney, I could see you ringside, and it does you push on, but you just don't ever want to let anyone down either. But I know my city knows that I always put me all into the fights and stuff. So no matter what happens, I know they'll always be proud of me.
Oh, of course, mate, of course. Hi folks, hope you like the video, and if you do, please press like and subscribe. Have a good one. Now, we've got 5 questions we want to ask each other. Yeah. And you don't know my questions.
No.
And obviously I
don't know mine.
Okay, right. Your ring walk, it's the best bind on in the world. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. I get the goose pimples thinking about it, and everybody, it's brilliant. Now, if you didn't have that ring walk, what other ring walk would you have? And it can't be another Stoke anthem.
Yeah, it's
I bet you've been asked that before.
No, I haven't. I've never been asked that actually. I've never been asked that actually. But I tell you what, I would have. Something Inside So Strong. Now, Lee Wood from Nottingham actually walks out to that song. And it's that, is it Let Me Serif? It's that Something Inside So Strong. I know that I can. But the reason I would have that is because my dad used to always play that song. He had it on tape. He used to work at Oldcroft. He's a panel beater. Yeah. And he got a lad to record. He said, I love that song. Can you record it for me? So this lad recorded on the tape, but repeated it non-stop. So he'd literally play probably 10 times on this tape. And when we used to drive over, my dad used to play it all the time. And years later, we went Gran Canaria, me and my dad did, just a little holiday. And I just took the mick out of him a little bit for always playing that song. But because he was a bit pissed off, he went, do you know why I played that song? And I was like, why? He said, because it kept me alive. I was like, it's getting a bit deep here, like, but I was like, but it was when my mum and dad split up. I remember because unfortunately my dad suffered from mental health issues. But he used to listen to that song all the time. Obviously just keeping going, obviously for his kids and so on. But, like I have my moustache on my dad in my fights, which I don't think I'm bringing back. I don't think I'm bringing the moustache back. I would have had that song. So very long-winded, but I'd have had Something Inside So Strong.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So obviously, my dad forced me into boxing. Now, I don't know what made you go into the forces. I know you obviously, before you were in the SAS, you went for 12 years. But it's almost like 2 questions this, but what made you get into it in the first place, into the army? And how did you get selected for the SAS? How did you become the best, essentially?
My dad, he came from Jamaica in the original Wimbleshire. Yeah. And so I was born in 1964 in Stoke. My mum's from Stoke. And back in that time, there was a bit of, my mum got kicked out because she was going out with a black guy and all that sort of stuff. So going to school, I was bullied big time. I moved on to Bentley, which was, at the time, was the largest council estate in Great Britain. Yeah. But as you know, there, it was mainly a white working class estate, and there was only a very few handful of black people on that. So when I went to school, there was me and one other kid in the entire school. So I was bullied from a young age. Yeah. But my dad always used to say about being resilient. He used to make me stand up when God Save the Queen came on and all stuff like that. Because Jamaica, for Jamaicans, it was the motherland. Yeah. And then I just was a little kid. I just always used to love watching soldiers and stuff like that. And because I was getting bullied, he got me into fighting as well, or boxing, even though I've already done the novice and stuff like this, and, punch my hands, and when you come back from the pub on a Sunday, he's sixpence or whatever, this is their own money, and do so many press-ups and all stuff like that. And it was the time when there was all the Muhammad Ali, they used to be boxing, they used to stay up late, watch that. It was brilliant. And he got me to be a battler, and one time after a serious bullying incident, he just says, right, you've got to stand up for yourself, this is the world. Not all people are bad, and, these great people and bad people in every race, religion and all the rest of it. And he just says, no matter what, you stand up to yourself and fight, and be a fighter. And then, it must have been that just made me want to be a warrior, be in the military, and I've always loved all that. So it did work for me because I hate bullies.
Yeah.
And again, that's part of the military. Also, we've gone out there protecting people because basically they get bullied. So by listening to my dad and standing up for yourself, fair enough, you take some batteries and you fail, but you learn from it and you get back up.
Yeah.
And it's just that resilience. And then that's why I wanted to go in the army, and I just loved the military. So it was straight, and I wasn't academic, so I was straight in army cadets at 11 years old.
Yeah.
And finished that at 16, and all I wanted to do was go in the military. So at 16, bang, I was in the military. And then as soon as I got in the military, I wanted to go for the best, and and then you hear about what the SAS is, but you don't know too much about it. So it was just wanting to go for that next step.
It is that secret society, almost like when you see pictures and the faces covered out. It's like it's a normal civilian. It's very surreal to see, and obviously see how you got into that. That's what. So how did that process happen for you to get selected in the end?
Well, what was is I put in for it. But years ago, when again nobody knew anything about it. I used to have a lot of lads go from my first unit, which was Staffordshire Regiment. I spent 12 years there, finished as a sergeant, and a lot of lads went, but nobody actually got in. There was only one guy who got in before me, and he got in the 70s, and then one officer. But this officer, he got in, and then he came back after a few years. And this, cut a long story short, a lot of lads go for it and they just come back, and they were known as heroes because they managed to go on selection even if they only got a few weeks. And instead of coming back saying I'm VW, I voluntarily withdrew, they come back with horror stories. Oh, the instructors didn't allow me, which is it's none of that really me. So I remember saying to this guy, I won't go for it, and he said, you can't. I goes, why is that? He goes, because you're black. I goes, what's that got to do with it? He goes, because they're all undercover in Ireland, you have to go sitting around the Irish bars. And back in them days, I would have stuck out and got ginger hair and freckles, anything like that. I thought, that's a fair point. Because I was going to go for it as a dead young, it was about 20. And then it was later on, throughout the years, we had this officer come, and he was at SAS, and he came back for us for 2 years, and that was it. And he was going to me, he saw the potential in me, and he said, by this time I was a corporal, he goes, couple of hours, why don't you go for the SAS? You're really keen, you just love everything to do with the military and stuff. And I said, well, I can't. And I told him the story, and he just pissed himself. He thought he was laughing at me. He goes, of course you couldn't sit in a bar and blend in like that. He goes, but you'd be on the reactive side. Because that's how much I knew. I wouldn't have even gone for it. But to me, the positive was everything was for a purpose. Because I was probably too immature then. I was probably too young. You never know, I might have got it. And so then I thought, right, I'm going to go for this. And that was like the projector to make me actually go for the SAS. And plus, when you saw this officer, he was totally different than the other officers. You know what I mean? He was really up there with the boys. He wasn't bothered about the bullshit of room inspections. He just wanted you to do your job, and if you was a good soldier, that was it. So that's why I got in.
That's mad how that one person essentially changed your life. Really, by seeing your potential, and then obviously making you fulfill what you wanted to do anyway. But as a young black lad growing up, though, how the limitations were there in terms of that kind of stuff, but you completely blew it out of the water with what you did.
Oh yeah, that to me was way in the past. You know, everything was. This is going back in the 60s. I can remember the 60s and the 70s growing up, and it's like I talk about. If I ever mention anything like that to my kids, they can't fathom it because it seems like 100 years ago. But if you think about it, 30 years from the 60s or whatever, if you go back 40 years, I don't think women only just about got the votes. So much has progressed, and it was, I've still got the best friends what I made there, and we settled in, and I love the people around where I'm from in Stoke. It was just a different era, and you take the positives about anything that was negative to you, and you make that work for your advantage. Your favourite war movie? Nice and simple.
Favourite war movie? Yeah, I haven't got a favourite war movie as such, because I've never. But one of my favourite war sections of the film is in Forrest Gump. When he's at Vietnam. That's one of my favourite parts of a war. But what's your favourite war movie?
Platoon.
Platoon,
the original Platoon.
Okay.
That's my go-to movie whenever, let's say you come back in and you, what time when your hands were you having a drink? I'll go back to that.
Well,
Forrest Gump is brilliant.
I will watch Platoon. I will watch that.
Vietnam.
See, my dad would have watched so many more movies and stuff, and my dad used to watch, like when he used to be Discovery Channel or whatever, all these historic events of war throughout the years as well, not just war movies, but obviously war documentaries. That's all I ever watched, and cowboys as well, like westerns. That's all I used to watch. So yeah, so I'm amazed I haven't watched any more. But maybe because my dad watched that many, I just never watched any.
Because it's back in the day. Because how old would your dad be now?
He would be. I guess he would be 63 now, maybe. Maybe
so
60.
I'm 60 this year, so I'd be the same as your dad. My missus, she's like younger than me. She gets sick of it because I'm like, what are you doing watching these old movies again? I'm like, it's brilliant. A Bridge Too Far and The Eagle's Nest. Oh God, I watch them over and over again. And the kids go, God almighty, Dad, what are you watching?
You go for 60, mate. You got good energy. You got good energy. If I got energy like you at 60, mate, fair play. You look very good, mate. I did not know you were 60.
Yeah. Well, I'm not 60 till December, so I'm
but mate, that's it, mate. You look phenomenal, amazing.
Yeah, I suppose it's having a wife who's 18 years younger than you.
So maybe she keeps me off the toes. Was there anyone in particular that you can look back on and you think, I could have trusted that man with my life? Yeah. Or maybe, not just one, maybe 2 or 3, because obviously you can't say your best friend or because I've got 3 people that I could back my life with. But is there anyone that sticks in your mind throughout the years?
Oh yeah, as you know, Nathan, you've got lots of acquaintances, loads of mates, but true friends. Yeah. You're lucky if you have you can count them on one hand. And seriously, and everybody in the SAS, people think they're all dead good mates. They aren't. Yeah. They don't go out drinking together, but they can all be on that job, and that everything is that job. Yeah. You know, you know that bloke's going to die for you next to you. Yeah. But I'm lucky enough. I've a few good mates. What I've always stuck with. And they are still from the SAS or from there. Yeah. But one of the best mates was also in the Staffordshire regiment with me and in training. So I've known him from 16. Yeah. Then when I went to my parent unit, well, he went 4 months before me, which was the Staffordshire regiment, then I went and he was in there. And we both got corporals together, and then sergeants together in the same company. Then I went on SAS selection, and a couple of years later he came, and we got to the same group as well. Because he's 4 Sabre squadrons, which are like your 4 classes, your fighting squadrons, and that's like the spearhead and everything. So we was together all through that. Yeah. And then even when we left, we both went on the same team together, looking after the press in Baghdad, where it was really dangerous. And then we both got on the training special forces out in the Middle East, so I've known him all from my life, and there's a couple of others within the SAS who, again, no matter what, you can turn to and they'll always be there, and we can just, remember my wife says, you're just so similar, and even though we're different, you're just so similar in certain ways. Right, 2 people, from the past, if they can be the last 100 years or 1,000 years, who you go out for dinner and have some beers with, and you can just talk to. You don't have to be good people, but
who would it count? So, if it was an athlete or something, it would probably be, if I can understand Spanish, Julio Cesar Chavez Senior, because he's my favourite fighter to start the year was Joe Calzaghe. That was the main one. My dad used to make him watch him before every fight. I used to watch Joe Calzaghe. So he was like my first ever real. In fact, reverse. Prince Azim Hamid was probably my first ever idol. That's why you see me flipping up off the floor and stuff. And I used to love his entrances and stuff. And so that was one of my youngest ones. Then obviously Joe Calzaghe, and then later on in life it was a guy called Golovkin, like Triple G, was like a monster, middleweight, knocking everyone out. But I then found out that he used to watch Julio Cesar Chavez Senior, and then I started watching videos of him, and I realised he's one of the best ever. He went 89 fights undefeated, and just it was just phenomenal. So if I could speak Spanish, I'd love to speak to him. But then going back to the thingy, I love my dad. Because my dad's not here anymore. He passed away in 2019. So, and he always, one thing I didn't do with him, which I've done, is I think he always liked the idea of me taking him for a pint, which I never did. My dad never wanted me drinking when I was younger. Boxing, don't drink until you're old enough. So when I was old enough to drink, it was very weird for me to dad say, have a drink now, because he always told me not to do it. So it was dead weird. But I mean, we did have a drink once when we were in Gran Canaria, but it wasn't like we went to the local pub. So So Julio Cesar Chavez and my dad.
I'll tell you what, anybody who's watching this, I wish I spent more time with my dad and my mum. I loved him and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing. See, when they go, if you haven't asked him any questions. See, I wish, like, there's like a local guy that you can just pay a couple of grand and he can write an autobiography for you. But I wish I'd just paid for my dad to have an autobiography done. So like, you could always go back to that book and just look at his whole life, because if you don't ask him certain questions, you'll never have an answer. Like, who was his best mate when he was young? Obviously, I think I know that, but then you also forget as well. I want to know, like, see one of my friends in Afghan, Jordan. He's had scenarios where he was walking through this town, and he just said there's like these barriers up, and he was dead eerie, dead quiet, and apparently he was told that the soldiers could just put the guns over and literally they could just be wiped out. And he said it was the scariest moment he's ever had when he was out there. Like, but what's the scariest moment you've had, if you can speak about it? If you can't, don't worry.
There's loads of scary moments.
Yeah.
You get just, especially from when you was it depends, because when you start off, even as a 19-year-old, it was just even just walking around the island, you know, like a good friend killed there, and then there's bombs going off, IEDs and stuff like that. And you used to always just be scared, thinking, right, at the moment I could get shot or blown up, and, you know, but it's that anticipation, even though nothing happened, if something could happen every time, what I think builds up with you. But over the years, you get stronger and more resilient again. And it wasn't so much, I never got, how can you say, it's not being stupid, never got scared going on operations. You know you're going to go on this job. You're more scared of letting yourself or your mates down. And there has been some really close. I should say not scared. I should say, what's the most adrenaline-inducing moment you probably had? Because, like, going back to Jordan as well, he was on watch, and he said he saw these tracers go over, and then all of a sudden the place went, and he said he has never experienced like an adrenaline rush like in his life. Like, well, you never. Your first time in a proper combat situation, obviously, it's totally different than whatever you practice. You know what I mean? And then that's why we practice as close to the knuckle as you can. But then when you do get in a combat situation, you go into a fair few firefights, and you sort of you do quite a lot more, especially in the SAS. Then I won't say you get used to it. You're always having that adrenaline, but it's still, you know, you just want to make sure that you don't mess up. And I was never one of these for writing a death letter, like, just in case you don't come back. Because that to me was like saying, you're not going, I'm like, no, I'm always going to come back. But I've been the closest situation, I've had a situation where literally, it's from me to you, and that's using a weapon, like a modern day club, just because of the scenario, what it is, obviously I can't say exactly.
Of course,
That's very, very close and personal, because not only do you look the person in the eye, you can see the person, all your senses, even the stay straight, and smells will trigger it off. The smell of like blood and sweat, and going with like carbide gun oil. So it's like very few situations where you're actually looking at the person. So you see the person, you smell the person, you hear the last gargle, and you do everything apart from taste the person. You know what I mean? Actually, the most scared I've ever been in my life, and I can say this, God's honest truth, was when I was a little kid going to school. I get goosies even thinking about it, because you used to get, you know, I'm having the hair standing on my head, I'm in the back of my neck, and not worried about getting to school, and then leaving the school playground, so we didn't get bullied, because you don't realise you're that young, that how things, what happened in your past, really stick with you. And that feeling, I used to get then. Obviously, I wasn't going to get killed, but you know, most of you guys a little slap. But I used to plan which way we're going to go out to school. Am I going to go out the front gate, the rear gate, run over the sports field and climb over these 6-foot railings, or go over the other way and climb over railings and onto a main road? I would just be.
It's mad, it's mad in our life.
That to me was so scary. Obviously.
It's mad. It just shows how bad it was. Then, though, for that to be in comparison to what you've experienced in your life,
but
has that been the
moment? I think what it is because you're a child, and children, you know,
they're the worst.
They're the worst, and that's why that's the worst thing. What bothers me is like when you go away and you see, and even now I've done humanitarian aid stuff, where you see the effects of war and the people who are paying the price, and no child deserves that, and it stays with them for the rest of their life, no matter what.
And I think that's like having kids, like you got kids and I've got kids. I think empathy changes a little bit. Like you change, and not only that, but then the fear comes in terms of how scummy kids can be. Like, and you don't ever want your, like my Ava, she's the most beautiful kid ever, so nice. But like it's just whatever, mate. Yeah. But that's life, and it's life.
Yeah. That is life, and you know, to me, a kid being brought up in this day and age, it's even though we always say it's easier as you get older, and life was harder back then and whatever. I don't believe it is now, because this day and age, with all the social media,
it's a different ballgame. It's just, it'll be the same, just in a different medium. Yeah. It'll be the exact same. But obviously, but society changes as time goes on and stuff. But yeah, people can still be quite mean at heart. But then you've got great people as well. Like it's a weird one.
But it just shows you've got your dad who inspired you into the boxing, so you've always got him on the back of your mind. Obviously, you've got your family on your back of your mind, you're doing it for, and you're doing it for everybody else. Yeah. And then you've got people like Chavez, who you must be inspired. Well. So you've got all these, and that's why people should take as much out of everything, and every type of negative, and bring in the positive to it, and bring all that positive energy, and make it work for them.
Yeah, it's just weird, because, like, it just happened. It's weird because, like, you look at it, you think, I want to be like Melvyn, I want to be like Nathan, like in terms of what you've done and what I've done. But it's like, how do you even explain to someone how to do that other than work as hard as you can? And if the opportunity is there, it'll happen. Yeah. It's weird because mine's weird because, like I say, as an amateur, I didn't achieve anything as an amateur. Nothing. Like over 16 years, I'd always get to the ABAs, I'd get to the Midlands final, I'd always lose. I won the Midlands final once in 16 years, which is but to then think years later going on to become the British champion, you would never have written it. But the reason, someone who motivated me as well to do that was a lad called Terry Flanagan, who's from Manchester. Now Terry Flanagan was like me, he boxed everyone, wasn't a great amateur, but he went on to win a world title as a professional. I was thinking, bloody hell, Terry can do that. I've got to give it a shot, like, do you know what I mean? So that's when I turned pro, and then fast forward. It's great, but if I hadn't done it, if I hadn't put myself there, it never would have happened in the first place. So you just got to put yourself there.
To me, that's like you've knocked a couple of nails on the head there, right? You've got to overcome failure, or not get, and if something doesn't work, it's better to try and fail than to try. And you've got to try again and again and again. And if it's easy, just pack in something, isn't it? That's the easiest thing in the world. But to get up, especially if you failed at something, no matter what it is, and it just means either studying harder, or training harder, or just taking whatever, learning from that failure, and that can happen. And also, like you said, you can't beat hard work. You've got to be prepared to wait for it. Nothing to give in.
Yeah, that's it. It is hard. It's just graft, and that's it. Like, you just put the work in. And there is luck involved, making a mistake about it, like, but I think it's this quote, like, luck is when opportunity meets hard work or something like that. And they come together, it all comes together, do you know what I mean? So it's a weird one, but like I said, if you don't work hard, it's never gonna happen.
Plus, it's great you've got to have a solid family. Like, I've been with my wife now 22 years, and she's brilliant. I am a domestic birth, a serious. I can't cook or anything. And whenever he was away or anything, she's always going. It's having that solid family as well. Yeah, well, really helps. Yeah,
and I'm very lucky in that regard as well. Like, even like my dad, like, I'm 42 years old life and stuff, but he was a great dad. But when I listen to stories now of people, like, I think bloody hell, my dad's childhood was horrendous, really. So there's no reason why I was a bit messed up in years later. But everything that he experienced that was bad, he made sure that I had a great childhood. So it's one of these.
What gets you angry? What gets you annoyed?
Right. Not much gets me angry, to be fair, other than if I'm in the gym. Right, so I'm in the gym. Just like to say Nuffield. I'm in the Nuffield gym and I'm on the squat rack and I've got my weights on there. And all of a sudden, this will tie into the same thing actually. Someone just grabs the weights off my rack and just takes them without saying anything. Manners, okay, I'll say manners, lack of manners, that really winds me up, and I don't know why, but nothing really winds me up that much other than manners. Like, if you let someone else, when they're in the car, and they just don't say thank you, or like I say, they take the weights off me, I'm like, hey, I'm using that, or you could ask me for that. But a courtesy, so yeah, lack of courtesy and manners really winds me up.
Manners, I 100% agree with you. Manners are everything. Yeah. Dad always taught manners, no matter what. You always, yes, please and thank you.
Yeah.
And what, even me, like sometimes I'll be out tapping or walking, and as you see somebody, and even if you don't know them, I will say morning, and you know, it reminds me when they don't say good morning back, but I think to myself, right, they might be having a bad day or whatever.
Well, that's the only thing that I can. That's the only thing that you can forgive people for doing that. But like when I go for a run myself, now when you're going for a run, it's like say I'm running down the road and someone else is running. You've both got a common interest there. You're both running, but they won't make eye contact at all. So I'm waiting there to say, all right, and he's just completely blank. And like that winds me up as well. But again, like you say, they could be going through something, but it happens too many times. It happens too often for it to that. But again, people might have social anxiety, so they might not want to make eye contact, and to get that. But that's what obviously, I think that's what's good about obviously being a fighter and doing what you do. You know what you can do as a person and as a man, and you haven't got to prove anything to anyone. So you can be very comfortable in yourself, and I think you can just portray yourself as the way you want to portray yourself. And you haven't got to change to, like we all know some people that will walk around like this. And they couldn't fight their own shadow, but they do it for a reason because they feel they have to. Whereas I'm very content, like in myself. I know what I can do, but I don't need to prove anything to anyone. But yeah, so manners is the most important thing.
Yeah,
I've been a fighter now for probably 25 years, and it's always been a goal to get to essentially where I am now. But eventually, it will stop. Just like my mate Jordan Bruno, I'm give shout outs. I think he's going to finish like a sergeant right now, and one day he will have to come out of the army. He will have to. How do you go about doing that? How do you become normal?
You know, that is one of the most difficult things you can do, especially being in the military, because you've suddenly, you know, people look at you and they think, well, you're so nice, how could you be in the SAS? You're like, because I'm a nice person. People think you've got to be, if you just go out, want to go kill people, which some people think you do because you're in the SAS or whatever. I'm like, no, you won't be in the SAS, you'd either be in a mental, you'd be in some psychopathic hospital, or you'd be in prison because you're a lunatic, and people, that's not what you do in the military for. But as you said, you've been, in a way, it's a bit of institutionalised. You've got that, you've got that discipline, and every day you're training and doing something, and the longer you spend in that job, the more difficult it is to actually.
It becomes your sole purpose. That's your only purpose. So when that goes, how have you found your other purpose?
Wow, to me, to tell you the truth, I was very lucky because I actually, when I left, I ended up still doing things with other SAS guys, and then I sort of had a good transition because then I started training special forces and foreign special forces. So I was even working with other special forces guys all the time, but you weren't on the active state, you weren't, you know, going out and fighting wars, you were teaching people. So generally it slowed down, and I had a gradual period over the years of sort of transitioning into City Street now, and I'm like, people say, don't you miss it? Of course you enjoyed it, but I don't. I'm like, no, I enjoy what I'm doing now and everything. But that's how I did it, but I know people find it very, very difficult, especially being an elite sportsman and an elite athlete like you, a professional footballer, suddenly bang, and then what are they now? You aren't an has-been. You've always got to be a world champion.
And that's it.
So it's difficult. You've just got to me, is having a good family around you and know that you go through difficulties, because I did go through. I wouldn't even at the end. You do find yourself going through difficulties, and it's like mental resilience or whatever. You do find yourself. You can get in that downward spiral, and it's very, very easy. So it's just having a good unit of friends and family to back you up, and then having another area where you can go into and focus on and that. Like now, for instance, I'll be focusing on, I want to do stuff for the community a lot more because I've got a lot more time, but also hopefully go on talks and try and inspire kids and older people as well, and just carry on getting a good mindset. Like yourself, it's going to be, it is difficult, but have you got any, even though you've got you'll be a world champion, you've got ages yet, have you actually thought about your...
Yeah, see, I think to myself, I've probably said this for the last 3 years, I've got another year left in me. Like, I think I've got another, when I think to myself, my performances are still good, I'm getting better, I've got another year in me. Because obviously I'm 35 tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, just got a number.
And that's the good thing. I've got a great engine on me, so that's what keeps me, provided I keep training hard and keep looking after myself, that can keep going. But the fights get harder, but you get to a certain point where it's actually worth it. It's like you're getting something out of it, where you can, whereas I did the sport for free for 16 years and I did it for the love of the sport and wanted to get where I am now. But it's but I say another year, but I probably want another 2 years because I want to fight at Stoke. And then after that I want to fight at Vegas, or now Saudi's become the new Vegas, but I'd love to fight in Vegas.
And
that'd be the goal. So that's what I'd love to do.
So in a way, it's like me, as I said, I went from doing it and then sort of training. So would you ever go from when you eventually finish world champion and all the rest of it, and you do angle the gloves, would you go into training different fighters, professional fighters? That type of or even commentating?
I'd love to do that commentating. I'd love if that opportunity come up. But I think to myself, like what Steve Woodvine does and all these coaches around, I don't know if I could ever be that selfless. I know it sounds thingy, but like they literally dedicate their lives to the sport. Whereas I've dedicated my life to boxing, but for myself. Whereas they dedicate their lives to boxing, but for everyone else. It's very weird. Like, and could I do that? I don't know. And maybe I could. I think I'd love to manage fighters, just to, because I've been from the bottom to the top of the game in terms of like being on a small hall scene, boxing at my local town hall, to obviously being signed by Frank Warren a couple of times and seeing it from that top end. So I know the bits in between. So and I'd always look after them as well. Like I want them to do as good as they could do, but even that, I don't know if I'd do that either, because it's absorbing life so much. I think when I retire, I think my wife Louise will want me to retire from every aspect of it. But I think you've always got to be there in some capacity. But I'm just not too sure what. Outside of everything, what's your normal day-to-day life and hobbies, if you've got any?
My normal day-to-day life is literally, my wife says I'm like a puppy dog, because I'm like full of positivity every morning. If I wake up, obviously I'll be dead now, but I wake up and I'm like, God, I'm bouncing around. I have to get out and do something. It can be pissing down, because I think being used to living in Dubai, being red hot all the time, but even then I was always wanting to do something. So I've always been the same. I've got to go out and either go to the gym or do some type of fitness. And don't get me wrong, I like going out and enjoying my weekends, having beers and that, but I make sure it. People say, how'd you do it? I'm like, I just do it. I wouldn't drink of it or whatever. You've got to train hard and work hard, play hard and work hard, and fight too much of either is bad for you. But to me, every day I want to do something, you know what I mean? So I'm always out and about. And
you're always running as well.
I'm always either running or going to the gym or tabbing over mountains and then doing anything to do with physical. I've got to do some sort of physical activities, at least.
Do you feel like if you didn't, you'd struggle in some capacity, or do you think your mind would just play games with you, or do you need that as a focus?
I think I need it. I think it's because it's always been bred in me, and being yourself as well, because it's something that it's just not routine. It's just a continuity. You've got to do it. It's like brushing my teeth. You know what I mean? It's like I've got to do something. And then my wife says, if you don't, I start not getting a bit grumpy, but I've got so much positive energy. But I just have to get out and always want to do something. And then also in between, like I'm working on doing a book and all that sort of stuff now. So it's because you forget we've got so much more to give when you, especially with experience as well. And you're very experienced, you've been in the game a long time, but not just about military, about all life's hurdles, about what people go through in life. You know, like we touched on mental issues. Everybody goes through it. I don't care. You know, everybody will touch on or know somebody. My mum had really bad depression and bipolar and that, and she was really. But you don't realise as a kid how much that affects. So everybody goes through, you know, psychological problems, physical problems, emotional problems, financial problems. Yeah. But it's how you
overcome it. It's having a focus in some capacity, like say in terms of the training. I think that's the biggest issue with people is they've got no focus. But then that goes back to that question I said before in terms of what you do after, because how do you create that? What is the focus? But like Steve, like he's as fit as me, Steve is. Like he trains all the time. Like I think he's 45, Steve is. But like he keeps up, like he trains harder than us in fact. But he has to train. He just has to. There's no two ways about it. Because I think to myself, when I retire, I will never do another burpee in my life. And it seems like you will. I was like, no, I'll never do another circuit ever again. But I probably will. It's like say, it's in you.
And not only that, but it's, apart from fitness being great for your physical self, it's also mental. It's to me, it's the best, antidepressant going. It's the best. You need all them endorphins going around your body. You need something. So I always say to people, it doesn't matter what. If you can't do much with your legs, then do something with your upper body and vice versa. There's always something you can do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I tell people that, you get a lot of ex-soldiers out, I know, and they sort of maybe let themselves go down because they're suffering mentally. And then, to me, if you can inspire anybody by just doing something, going out and just putting down mentally that you're doing a job, and I've had people DM me, and that's one reason to do it, and saying, you made me get out of bed, I'm not doing it for that, I'm just the normal stuff. But if you've helped somebody along the way, that's brilliant, because it's great for the mental health, and then later on they come back and tell you, so everything's brilliant. Yeah. Oatcakes versus rye pies. Right, which one do you have? Which is the best?
I was thinking about an oatcake. See, I don't, as a Stokie, it sounds really bad. I don't eat his oatcakes as often as I should, but when I do, I just have oatcakes.
It's a good job you've been anyway.
I get a full English, and then I get 6 oatcakes, and I'll put so that I'd say that would beat a pie, but you can't be right. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's got to be an oatcake. A full English oatcake beats a rice pie. The rice pies are decent.
I tell you what, and people don't realise from coming around the area, they haven't all the time, or you've always got stuff like that you really miss when you're abroad, or you're away on any say when you're away with the military, and your friend will tell you about like when he was in Afghanistan and stuff like that. It's the simple things what you really miss more than anything, just like getting a nice bacon and cheese oatcake, with made red sauce or sausage and cheese oatcake, but it's got to be brown sauce or hot rice pie. Right,
the last one for me, so obviously it's in terms of just in general, this is not for the SS, but just like what's your biggest motivation? Because obviously now I could be wrong here, but when you said about the car and stuff, like in my last fight, I'm certain I could hear my daughter's name being called, and I'm certain that was you. I heard that when I was in there, and that was very motivating, because that's my family are my motivation. Everything I do is for my girls and my wife. It's amazing. It could make me tear up to be fair, but still. But anyway, what's your motivation? Sorry about that, mate. Getting a bit upset.
No, it is like you say, family and that. Yeah. Of course, that's your motivation. You want to do good and well for your family.
Do apologise about that, mate. You got me remember. I was thinking about the fight, and in that moment, you say, "Is it?" Yeah, of course.
There's nothing more emotional than your family. It isn't, and people you really, really love. But my motivation is just waking up, serious, and thinking, right, I'm alive, I'm up, and I'm well, because I don't want to go back on a negative. There's too many people who aren't enjoying this period of life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's never a down day. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, everybody has down days, but I mean, there's never where then I don't kick myself up the arse and say, wow, I'm here to enjoy time with my family.
Like you said, like obviously the summer. That thing is that for me, I'm like, if I don't live a day over 92, I'll be gutted. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's not long enough. Yeah, good man, mate.
Right?
No, thanks so much.
Inspiration. That's so great. Just a touch of this, man.
Yeah, it's it.